single screen?
Single screen.
Single.
Thank you very much. So this session is about working with remote teams. So how many of you in this room are actually working with remote teams? Remote teams can be, I'm working from home most of my time, so remote teams can be my teams in the same country, same city, but in different building as well. So how many of you working in the remote teams? In the chat window, you can type in yes or no. Oh, we've got some few people who are working in remote teams. That's fantastic, because what we will be doing is some of us are working as agile coaches, some of us are working as leaders. During this session, I will be using the terms agile coaches and leaders interchangeably. For me, according to Krishna, they are the same role. So the facets, what you see in Agile Coach is the same for the leaders as well. And we will talk about this a little bit in detail. So the agenda of this session, we will be looking at what is a common denominator between an Agile Coach and a leader, who can be a leader, who can be an Agile Coach, what are the challenges working with remote teams, what is the role of coaches, and the failure modes, the success modes, the recovery, and we will look at questions. And we've been doing a lot of interesting stuff, working with various organizations. We can also bring in some of the case studies if you have some bandwidth. If not, we can take some questions offline and we'll be more than happy. One of the participants from the last session requested, Krishna, where can I download the previous decks which you have done for the webinars? One of my colleagues will post in, will add a link to LinkedIn company account. Just follow the company and download. There's a lot of free content in there. Use it for your own preference. So if you can, Ashik, when you're around, can you just drop in the note, please? Thank you. So follow the company, and there's a lot of free stuff there. We would love to share, because one of the prime objective of Leadership Tribe is to support various roles, no matter whether you're working in IT, non-IT, or anything you are doing. We have a lot of tools, techniques, and more importantly, the people skills that drive the value. Remember one thing, you can learn some tools and how to use them. But more importantly, you also need to remember a fool with a tool is still a fool. It's about the person who's going to use it, how you're going to use it depending on the problem. So it's the human being is much more important than the tools or the techniques itself. So what are the things we're going to do? And we provide that knowledge and we share that wisdom, whatever wisdom we have working with various organizations, we want to share them to the people around us and enrich the community. And how to create this learning sticky so that people can, when you come in for training programs or webinars, the excitement lasts for like 1 day, 2 days, and 3. On the 3rd day, people go back to normal stuff. And many people have done it, including me. So how do we make a sticky learning? And so that you are able to deliver that kind of a value to your organizations or to your teams and giving something back to the community. There's so much interesting stuff happening around the world. If there is one tiny change we can bring in, we would love that. So in the next slide, we have some pictures of people. So I have a question for you. What is the common denominator or the common theme these people have? So have a look at these pictures. Do you remember those faces? If anybody needs some introductions. Okay.
Nobel Prize winners.
Okay, you can type it in your chat window, please. So what do you see? So what is the common theme they have among them? What is the commonality you see among them? Compassion, clear life purpose, intention, vision, peace, influencing, servant leaders, leadership in their own belief, empathy. One of the most important thing, according to Krishna, what I've observed is when they saw when something's not right, all they did was they took an action. If you look at Martin Luther King, or if you look at Nelson Mandela, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, many leaders out there, they're seeing something's not right. They have one thing in common, it's just basic ethics, human beings. When something was not right, they stood up for their values. They stood up for their values, and that's all they did. It's taken action when something was not right. If you look at the current world, it's alarming. It's really alarming. Looking at a person who's black has to actually fight for a Black Lives Matter. A person who's brown or a person who has a different skin tone has to fight for equal rights. A person who is even gay or lesbian, they even have to fight for their rights to live as a human being. That's the world we are living in. That's the world we are living in. So if you want to talk about any leaders, if you want to talk about leaders within your organization or teams, these people have one thing. And there's a quote from John Quincy Adams. I love this gentleman. He talks about, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, and do more, to become, and then you are a leader. So it's all about you. So what can you do at that moment of time? So this is leadership in general. So this is about it. So when we bring that kind of an essence to your teams or to your business units or for your organizations, who can be an agile coach or a leader? So in the chat window, type it in, who can be an agile coach or leader in your organization? It's all about the intent. You're right. Anybody, anyone in your team or your organization can fill in that role. When your leader is not there, my boss is not there, he doesn't have the time. The question I have for you is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I agree with Prashant there. He talks about any willingness to help and serve other people. Do whatever it takes to help the team member in your organization. That's what it is. This is the simple essence we are talking about. So when we are working with organizations, we also work with teams, business units, and organizations. In the teams, we have the team leader or the team coach or a team facilitator. At the business unit, you got the tribe leader, or you got an agile coach who's working between teams and business units. At the organization, you also have enterprise coaches. There are some different development paths for people where it actually starts from being a human being and helping people to achieve their goals. For that, you need to play different roles in that organization. You'll be playing a role of a facilitator. You'll be playing the role of a coach, and you might be playing a role of an enterprise coach as well. These are the different layers you'll be working in. So when you're working in these different layers, world has changed. COVID, we have, because of COVID, some of us are working from home. Some of us are working, some of us, I think there are some teams who have worked, but they're in the offices as well. But not everyone are able to meet in one location. Funny, in the terms of agile, there was a lot of literature which has been written. People have to be co-located. People have to be making sure that this is where, if everyone's in one place, people can deliver faster, better. That's all about agile. That's what we have seen, a lot of literature and amazing coaches written and spoke about so many things about being co-located and doing things. Now, the reality is different. So when you're working differently, so what are the common challenges we have seen in the past session? What are the common challenges we have seen working with the teams, working with remote teams? So we have covered this in the last webinar, and there's a lot of content which we also shared. Have a look at it. See which one what else do we need to add more? One of the things which we spoke about was about communication. If the communication fails, we might be having three times the problems which can be caused because of this. And this one is one of the things, as leaders, some people I have spoken to, they said, Krishna, I need to measure my employees, making sure they're on the time, 9 o'clock, they log in and they log out to make sure that these people are working. I have a different question for these people. Is it because of the lack of trust that we are not able to trust our employees? Are we going to measure everything for the sake of measurements? It's funny. And we can also look at, there are other challenges which we all have spoken about, is around company culture, the language, the scheduling difficulties, and how to keep the morale of the team stronger. So we're not going to go into detail. We have spoken about this in the last webinar. And is there anything else you want to add? Team engagement, okay. Unable to accept and admit the nuances, remote working, especially working from home for self and others. Very true, Prashant. New design of outcomes, work, alignment with the customer value. True. So these challenges are there. These challenges are there. Now the interesting part is, what is the role of a coach or a leader? So when we talk about an agile coach or a leader, Lisa Adkins has written an amazing book called Coaching Agile Teams. Really lovely book. And she talks about the different competencies of an agile coach. A competency of an agile coach can be around, first of all, to teach people on what agile is. If you're working in an agile team, you need to understand what agile is and what is it not. And you also need to be a lean practitioner, understanding the essence. How do you eliminate waste? How do you ensure the flow is constant to the customer? Always looking at the customer problems first. What is the outcomes we want to deliver? This is around the mindset. It's all about being a practitioner. And because you're a practitioner, you'll be able to teach people on the new ways of working. Because you're a subject matter expert, you can teach people, you can also mentor, where you'll be sharing your knowledge and your skills, helping people to achieve their goals. Good, because you're a mentor, you are teaching, and at times you can be a technical master. Some of us who are able to work in DevOps, if you're in IT, some of us who are working in auditing, some of us who are working in HR, some of us who are working in various industries, they have a technical expertise, and how they can impart that knowledge or help the team with their architecture, or you name it. On the other side of the spectrum, we also have the professional coaching. In professional coaching, you're partnering with your clients, with your organizations, and creating a journey, a journey in such a way that you're helping them to achieve their goals. Where instead of you giving them the knowledge or your expertise or anything, helping the people to come up with their own solutions. This is a skill on its own. And facilitating. When we are facilitator is a person who holds a neutral stance and helps the groups or the group of people to come to achieve their outcomes or their solutions, and bringing the people together using the wisdom of the crowd, using the facilitation techniques such as asking powerful questions, listening, providing the observations, creating a framework in such a way that we are able to achieve some outcomes, some actions from taking that. And you got the business mastery, where you are working with the customer and creating the value-driven innovation to create some innovative products. And you have transformation mastery. Transformation mastery is about how do you bring change in the organization. So if I ask you a question, why do people change? So as a leader, as a coach, it's all about trying to bring some change in your teams and organizations. So let me stop my screen share for a minute. And I have a question for you. Why do people change? So in your chat window, type your answers in. Why do people change? Okay, we got to improve, need, trigger, adapt, change for adapting the fast-moving world, not necessarily good, no good, okay? People only change usually when they can't support anymore the current situation, okay? Change is the one which is constant in nature. It always happens to improve the current state to next, okay? Learned a lot, suffered enough, tried. Tired of same thing, okay? Because of various experiences, because everything around us changes to adapt, because they need to achieve something goal when there is a crisis, to be part of the crowd or the group. Great answers, by the way, really great answers. The world which we live in a VUCA environment. VUCA is actually a term coined by the American military. It stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. That's where we are right now. So that's a fact. I have a friend of mine who can't travel, a colleague of mine who can't travel from all the way from China to other parts. It's hard right now because of the restrictions. Recently, England put France, Spain on quarantine list. Some of them had to leave early, and that's a fact. These are things which are happening in the world around us. And some of us were not even able to meet our own loved ones, family members. When we think it's simple, when we say, we can just go and say, knock on the door, hey, mom, hey, dad, cousins, sisters, brothers, whatever you want to call it. It's a fact. We are living in reality. Things are constantly adapting. When you're looking at change, there are three reasons. First thing, the biggest reason is a crisis. A crisis. If there's a fire alarm kicking off in Krishna's home right now, do you think this webinar is going to happen? I'll say, thank you, tata, bye-bye, we'll see you next time. The second reason which a change can happen is a threat. I have a friend of mine who is an amazing chain smoker. On one of the days when he had a normal checkup done, if you keep on doing the way you're doing, your lungs will collapse in the next 9 months to 12 months. That's a threat that will happen if he doesn't change his behavior, his habits. That's a threat. So this person had his test done 15 years ago. He's still there. He's still there. There was a threat. He has adapted and he changed. And one of the other reasons is an opportunity. It's an opportunity. So if we do this, it might be helping us 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Eating healthy will be better. It's an opportunity for us to be leaner, meaner, those things. So it's a crisis or a threat or an opportunity. When you're working with your teams, where do you find yourself? Is it a crisis, threat, or opportunity? Type in your chat window, please. Try it out. In which area are you working in the chat window? Okay. Growth is an opportunity. Okay. So we got some few answers there. So we are working in different situations, and most of us are working in the opportunity area. The rate of change will depend on crisis, threat, and opportunity. If we don't do right now, the house is on fire. We need to do something right now. We have to do something right now. The way we respond will change. We will adapt to it. It's a threat. If we do not make the way, improve the way we are working, we might not be able to deliver our projects on time. That's a threat. And some of us who are working with remote teams, we need to change the way we are working. If you can't, maybe you might not have a team at all. Maybe we might not have a job at all. You never know. So you need to do something about it. That's a threat. Opportunity, if we do this better, it's going to be awesome. So depending on that, we will change. I have a question for you with respect to the work which you're doing. It's all about you. You don't need to answer. You can make a quick note in your chat, in your own personal notes. If you want to change or become a better coach or a leader, where are you working? This is a personal note for yourself. Personal note for yourself. Which area are you working? Are you working in the crisis? Because if I don't do this, I don't have a job. I have to do something about it today. Is it a threat or an opportunity? Just make a quick note for yourself, a mental note. Take 30 seconds, make a mental note. By the way, there are no wrong or right answers, because this is your own answers for yourself. As long as you're honest for yourself, that's a great place to be. That's a great place to be. Good. On that note, so we know as a leader, there are different roles you need to play. You need to play a role of a teacher, because if you've got a brand new teams, you might need to teach them. And if a team member needs some help with respect to coding, testing, or some policies in the organization, you might be a subject matter expert. You might be able to mentor them, or you might be able to mentor them to improve their careers. You can be mentors. And the interesting role is you can be a coach, where you're coaching your teams, where the teams are able to find their own solutions. This meeting is not working for us because everybody is dispersed everywhere. So as a facilitator, you can bring them all together. And instead of you providing the solutions or suggestions and teasing the information out, saying that what experiments can we do to do differently? So you're facilitating that kind of a conversations. Even the challenge what we have, how do I work with remote teams? How do we work together as a team? And asking that simple question and playing the wise fool in the team, where you're gathering that data and creating some actions to make things happen. Even a 1 degree change in what you do, Rav, it'll be a bigger change on the longer run. So what are you going to do about it? Okay. And how do you bring change in your organization? That means that you need to have some skills around bringing the change in, adapting the way we work, improve the way we work, as well as looking at our customers and asking them, how do we make you successful? And create some innovative products for your organization. So if your customer is happy, your organization is happy. But the most important thing is, if your team is happy, they're going to build great products for your customers. If they are great products, customers are always happy. It's a cycle. It's a cycle which happens. And you are going to play a very important role in bringing the worlds together. That's the new way of working. It's not like I'm a leader does not mean that I tell you, you go get the shit done. Nah, those days are gone. If you think that if I tell and everybody will listen and sing Kumbaya for me, I don't know, it might work for you, but the way the organizations are working, the way people are adapting, it doesn't work. If you have, I work with an airlines organization, and as part of the team building activity, we all got trained as air hostess. So we had to sit in a simulator, and if an airline is on fire, if it's going through some crisis, when air hostesses are actually trained not to use polite words, they have their own vocabulary to make sure people listen to them. And they're not soft words either. So there, they are directing and telling people what to do and what not to do. So every situation is different. So you, as a leader, as a coach, you need to adapt. When I'm saying coach here, agile coaches, they have multiple hats, they play multiple roles. Not life coaches, that's a different role completely. But you need to understand the role of a professional coach so you can play that role depending on the situation. That's the key. So you're playing all these things. You're doing everything to a T. So let's look at what are the areas where coaches or leaders go wrong. Let me share my screen again. And I need somebody to shout out to see if you can see my screen. So I will need your help.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. So this, they are the failure modes of coaches or leaders, what we have seen and we have documented. And it's actually many authors have written some amazing articles, even Shane Hasty, Lisa Adkins. There's tons of content around there. So I would recommend you to have a look around, but these are the top 8 things which resonated with me. So I'll put them out there. So the first one is called a spy. So the spy is a person who will jump into the team meetings, looks for a couple of things here and there, observes them, picks up topics, so we can use them in retrospectives or in team meetings to beat people up with their own things. This is one of the failure mode, which is called a spy. The next one is called a seagull. Can somebody even guess why a seagull is? Try it. Don't be a seagull in your team. What do you mean by that? Type it in the chat window. Hovering around, monitoring, okay. Giving suggestions or solutions, having a bird's view, okay, interesting. Not understanding the issues deeply, okay. I want to tell you a story about me and my other half. We went down to a place called Brighton in England. It's an amazing place. If you come down for a holiday to England, I would recommend you to go down there. People are amazing, beaches are lovely, and it's a great place to be. So when we went there, I saw seagulls the size of I've never seen these are the biggest seagulls I've seen in my life. They're twice the normal size of any birds. So you go into a chip shop, fish and chip shop, you come out, you get something fly, you can feel something is hovering around your head and goes down, it does a dive, goes down from the top and picks something up from your plate and flies away. So these seagulls, when I say seagulls, the leaders or the coaches, they swoop in the meetings, they take the credit away from the team, and sometimes they shit shit all over the team with with their thoughts, their intentions, their observations or their advice, and they fly away again. This is what happens. Even when I came down to pick my car up in Brighton, it was a disaster. It was as if somebody threw white paint all over my car. So these are, Seagulls is a metaphor for a leader who is actually throwing shit at the team and taking the credit away from them. The next one is an opinionator. So they always express their opinions during the team discussions. They get attached to their thoughts, their views, and they lose the objectivity of why they even having this discussion. It's all about them. And these leaders or the coaches are the admins. Sometimes what they do is they become the admin for the team. They arrange meetings. They become the middleman. If they want to speak to a customer, they have to go through them. They become like a filter. They do the meeting logistics. Everything has to go through them. The next one is the hub, or the center of the communication for team members and for task level coordination. The butterfly is similar to the seagull. The butterfly is similar to the seagull. They fly from one team to the other, landing just enough information so they can give the wisdom and pose for a philosophical question as well. And these leaders, they're hilarious. I love them. They're so interesting. Of course, as a coach, I need to ask questions. They will ask a philosophical question in the end before they go. These are amazing, but they don't add any value. The experts. These people, they are involved in details of the teamwork, and they that only work on things which is visible for them. They are not interested in anything at the team level. They're interested in how they can showcase themselves as a subject matter expert, and they can be and showcase the knowledge, the wisdom, and everything they have. These are the experts. And if I tell you, you go and get things done because I'm telling you. And the last one is called the nag. Let me give you an opportunity. What do you mean by a nag? Type it in the chat window. So they won't solve issues, sitting on the issues all the time waster, nagging, cribbing, whining, always complaining, distracting the others, dysfunctional behaviors. Dysfunctional behaviors, yes. Life is always a problem. Shouting, crying baby. Okay. Interesting. You find them, I usually, of course, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, I see them, they treat Agile as a religion. They are the people, these amazing people, they send out an article every day, read about this. If somebody says anything, in this article, somebody said this is how it needs to be done. They whinge and moan, of course. They always talk about Agile says this, Scrum said this, as a HR, we need to do this. Remember, it's all about human beings. I know some coaches, when they walk in, or the leaders, when they walk into the cafeteria, people disappear. People run away. Oh, this guy is coming. We need to walk away. Otherwise, this person is going to eat my brains. So these are the failure modes of leaders and coaches. So take 30 seconds, make some recommendations for yourself. What are the things you can do to avoid these failure modes? You can type it in the chat window. What are the things you can do to avoid the failure moves? Be cautious about the pitfalls, avoid them. Open-minded collaboration. Be like a friend with moderate flexibility without hampering the work culture. Feedback, observe, learn, improve. Beautiful. Gel up with the team on common topics and gain trust to avoid the situations. Empathy. Listen to the team. Be fair, firm, and friendly. Be assertive. Brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing. Active listeners. So these are some of the things to add to the list what you have already given. These are some of the things which will help leaders to be successful, even if you're working with the remote teams, if you're working with the face-to-face teams. This is common sense, but sometimes people need to practice it. Even though if it's common sense not to litter around, you need to practice. Make it a habit just to collect the rubbish wherever you go and dump it at home, not throwing it on the street. Simple things which we all know, but we have to practice them. The most asking powerful questions is a really great tool to have for leaders and coaches. When we have a question of 5 plus 5, we can say it's 10. What if you have a question mark plus question mark equals 10, the possibilities improve. There's a possibility, there are a few more opportunities where a person can give their own answers. Instead of having a closed questions, you can open up to new possibilities, asking powerful questions. That will take practice. And there are some tons of powerful questions out there. One thing I would recommend is from Coactive Coaching. It's a great list of questions. I would recommend you to refer them. And you can also find them on our LinkedIn page. So download that. And having curiosity. And having instable curiosity or tons of curiosity, like a child. If you see a 4 to 6 year old or even a 3-year-old to 6-year-old, what type of questions they ask? They're shameless. They'll be asking, why is the sky blue? Why are we doing this? Have you spent time with the child to see what kind of a curiosity they have? How many of you seen a child's curiosity or spent time with them? Type in your chat window. What do you think about it? When the light goes, where will it go? Color triggers is the question asked for my daughter. Seen it. Multicolored skies, trees. These are beautiful. These, like, the curiosity of them is unimaginable. So you need to be the curious person about your teams, about individuals, looking at what are the things I can learn and that can be a service for my teams, can be a service. You are at service for your teams to help them successful. And it's also one of the things which we also talk about is listening, being curious, asking powerful questions, and listening with empathy. Somebody did say about empathy is one of the being a success criteria, listening with empathy, being empathetic towards situations. Right now with COVID, we have seen people who have lost family members. We have seen people who have family members who are impacted with COVID and they are in the home, and the mom and dad are infected with COVID and the son is actually working, trying to deliver something value for their customers. How much stressful the person is going through. Listening to your team members, what is it that you can do to help them to be successful? Things are bad. I agree. After night, you'll see daylight. After storm, you will see some sunlight. So things will change. It's not there forever. I do agree COVID has changed the landscape of the way we work right now, but it's not forever. It's a new way of working. We'll figure it out. Doesn't mean that it's the end of times. And think of it as the way you can bring the worlds together. For that, you will be facilitating, coaching, mentoring, training, and enable the introverts in your team members to speak out with their own voice. Even having a face-to-face and having meetings with them, some people don't talk. And just imagine doing this over virtually. It's 3 times harder. It takes time. It's a challenge. It's not the challenge which we can't get over it. For that, all you need to do is invest in yourself. Be mindful. Be mindful about the situations, about the environment you are working. Be mindful about the people you're working with. When things are tough, tell yourself it's okay. One of my favorite example I use is when you're flying, the air hostess always say, in case of emergency, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. On yourself first. And after that, you can even put it on your child or your neighbor, a person who can't do it. It starts from you. It starts from you. So if you're able to do it, and when situations are going tough, tell yourself it's okay. Because this will pass. This will pass. And when you're working as a leader, as a new leader, have a mentor or pair up with a fellow leader and see how you can do things together. As when we train Agile coaches in our organization, we pair up, we have the alumni sessions where people actually try to catch up offline. They try to catch up offline and they pair up. This is a little communities they try to build. There's a tons of communities. We got webinars, the meetups happening around. Just right now it's virtual. Spend some time. Just listen what's happening out there and learn. And the most important question you need to ask yourself is, are you being curious? Are you being curious? One piece of quick advice I have you is, when you say investing in yourself is all about self-care, which means recognizing the relationship you have with yourself and prioritizing it. So you have to put the intentional effort to sustain it. Sometimes it means calling ourselves out on things which we are doing are not healthy for us. So you need to start caring for yourself, which means going out for a walk, eating healthy, creating a sleep routine, take breaks, get some exercise in your life, see family, friends, virtual or physical. Try to do something for your soul. There are things we do, something we have to do because that will help me for my day-to-day living. And there are some things you have to do for your soul as well. So you need to know what you need to do. So on that note, I will open this room for questions. So in the chat window, if you have any questions, put them through. So I have 5 minutes for this section and we'll move on to the next ones. Question time. When we think of team, this all works quite well. Prashant, I will refer to a wonderful document my colleague has written, Ming has written, on how to work with your senior stakeholders, how to coach your upline leaders. How do we work with them? When you're talking about bringing a cultural change, it starts with the leadership. If it's let me try this. It's a monkey see, monkey do business when it comes to leadership. If a leader says that, we have to be open, we have to be doing, saying one thing and doing a different thing, it's utter nonsense, according to Krishna. According to Krishna, how do you work with them? And for that, so there's an amazing document written by Ming. Please, Prashant, just go on to the LinkedIn. There's tons of context. You can download that. And how do you work? If it's not on the LinkedIn page profile, please pass on the link. Yes, I don't have the links right now, but please, we'll paste the link for the LinkedIn. Follow the company and just download the documents. There's tons of it. That's very important. Good. What are powerful questions? Okay. Who can answer this question? What are powerful questions? I like the way Naga said. Powerful questions. Who can answer that? Please, Naga, you want to come off mute and explain, or you want to type it in?
Is it something that gives the person that you're speaking to greater clarity, awareness, or exploration in with regards to what they're talking about or trying to get to?
Spot on, Michelle. You've been trained well.
I wonder by who?
I don't know. I agree with Edgar, Michelle, and even Naga, who has talked about the powerful questions. These are thought-provoking questions. It's obvious. There are some of the questions is, what is the color of your bedroom wall? You know what's the answer is. So if you say, if you created the best picture on the wall, can you describe that to me? So it makes the person think and bring that kind of an awareness where it's like you have this kind of an aha moment. Anything that creates an aha moment, those are powerful questions. We have a topic on powerful questions as well. Again, LinkedIn. On top of it, we're just being conscious of time. So that will be a topic on its own. I'll be more than happy. So any other questions? So there was one question asked by Naga. You said spying should be avoided and explained that he will be picking up the points from others and try to implement on the team. Let's look at this. The intent of powerful questions is to tease information off, right? If the intent of the powerful question is to interrogate, what will the questions be like? What will be the tone of voice will be like? It'll be completely different. If the intent of me to spy on my teams so I can give them the knowledge and the points later, that will change the entire perspective. If the intent is I'm going to be an observer, I'm going to provide a neutral feedback for my team, that would be different. So saying that on the same note, you don't need to wait for a team meeting. When you see something not right, call out, this is my observation, this is not right. If you found somebody fallen on the street with a heat stroke, will you just walk away or do something about it? It's basic ethics. So we don't need to wait till the end. So if you see something not right, it's basic ethics. Call out, speak about it. It's okay. So the intent matters. Okay. Is that like one-to-one with the team members? It's the same thing with the team as well. say, this is, say, for example, if the daily in a team meeting, some of the team members have not spoken. Hi guys, I think it's a really interesting team meeting. We have everyone spoken. We got two people. Some of us was not able to voice their opinions. Is there something we can do differently where we can have everyone's voice in the room so we can make a call? So that's the obvious. Call it out. It's not picking, pointing fingers and blame game. Nah, it's simple about it. So now that can be one-to-one or one-to-many as well. So there is nothing wrong in talking what's obvious. So one of the things which we are currently doing is, let me share my screen. I need to shout out. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. From this webinar, what are the actions? What are your takeaways? Can you type it in the chat window, please? What are your takeaways? And I have one recommendation for you all. Type it in the chat window, please. What are your takeaways? So learn the difference between a Scrum Master and Agile Coach. The scope of an Agile Coach is like an ocean. Okay. Murtuza, for me, the session helped me to understand what not to do as a leader, self-care, do's and don'ts, avoid the 8 stereotypes, ask questions, inquiry, to learn and to know how to serve. I think we learn scratch the surface of an Agile Coach. Very true. We just the basics. So one thing, I have a recommendation for everyone. The recommendation is you have a choice. You have a choice. Whether you want to be on one end of the spectrum where you can enforce the team members to tell them what they need to do, where you're guiding, directing, and telling them what to do, or you create a team, a high-performing team, in such a way where you're just observing, standing back, and you're walking away when the team are doing some amazing stuff. You have a choice. So for your team to be better, you can be playing a role of a coach or a mentor, or you can also play the role of a facilitator. This is your call. There is no one out there who will tell you what role you need to play at that moment of time. Given the situations, you will be knowing what to do. There is no right or wrong thing, but you know what's the right thing to do. That would be your call. Good. On that note, this is the end of the webinar. So we got